Yirmiyahu, or Jeremiah, chapters 30 and 31. The word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yehovah, saying, Thus spoke Yehovah Elohim of Israel, saying, Write in a book for yourself all the words I've spoken to you. For look, the days are coming, declares Yehovah, when I shall turn back the captivity of my people Israel and Yehudah, declares Yehovah. And I shall bring them back to the land I gave to their fathers, and let them possess it. And these are the words Yehovah spoke concerning Israel and Yehudah. For this is what Yehovah said. We have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. And now, ask, see if a man is giving birth. Why do I see every man with his hands on his loins like a woman in labor, and all faces turned pale? Oh, for great is that day, there's none like it, and it is the time of Yaakov's distress. But he shall be saved out of it, and it shall be in that day, declares Yehovah of hosts, that I break his yoke from your neck, and tear off your bonds, and strangers no more enslave them. And they shall serve Yehovah their Elohim, and David their sovereign, whom I raise up for them. And you, do not fear, O Yaakov, my servant, declares Yehovah, nor be discouraged, O Israel. For look, I'm saving you from afar, and your seed from the land of their captivity. And Yaakov shall return and have rest and be at ease, with no one to trouble him. For I am with you, declares Yehovah, to save you. Though I make a complete end of all nations where I've scattered you, yet I do not make a complete end of you. But I shall reprove you in judgment, and by no means leave you unpunished. For thus said Yehovah, your breach is incurable, your wound is grievous. No one pleads your cause to bind up. There are no healing medicines for you. All those loving you have forgotten you. They do not seek you, for I struck you as an enemy strikes, with cruel chastisement, because your crookedness is great, your sins have increased. Why do you cry about your breach? Your pain's incurable. Because of your many crookednesses, because your sins have increased, I've done this to you. However, all those who devour you shall be devoured, and all your adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and those who exploit you shall be exploited, and all who prey upon you I shall make prey. For I restore health to you and heal you of your wounds, declares Yehovah. For they have called you an outcast, saying, This is Zion, no one seeking her. Thus said Yehovah, see, I turn back the captivity of Yaakov's tents and have compassion on his dwelling places, and the city shall be built upon its own mound, and the palace stand on its right place. And out of them shall arise thanksgiving and the voice of those who are laughing, and I shall increase them, and they shall not diminish, and I shall esteem them, and they shall not be small. And his children shall be as before, and his congregation shall be established before me. And I shall punish all who oppress them. And his prince shall be from him, and his ruler shall come from among him, and I shall bring him near, and he shall approach me. For who is this who pledged his heart to approach me? Declares Yehovah. And you shall be my people, and I shall be your Elohim. See, the storm of Yehovah shall burst forth in a rage, in a whirling storm. It bursts upon the head of the wrong. The burning displeasure of Yehovah shall not turn back until he has done and established the purposes of his heart. In the latter days you shall understand it. Chapter 31. At that time, declares Yehovah, I shall be the Elohim of all the clans of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus said Yehovah. A people escaped from the sword found favor in the wilderness, Israel, when it went to find rest. Yehovah appeared to me from afar, saying, I have loved you with an everlasting love, therefore I shall draw you with loving commitment. I'm going to build you again, and you shall be rebuilt, O maiden of Israel. Again, you shall take up your tambourines and go forth in the dance of those who rejoice, and you shall plant vines on the mountains of Shomeron. The planters shall plant and treat them as common. For there shall be a day when the watchmen cry on Mount Ephraim, Arise, and let us go up to Zion, to Yehovah our Elohim. For thus said Yehovah, Sing with gladness for Yaakov, and shout among the chief of the nations. Cry out, give praise, and say, O Yehovah, save your people, the remnant of Israel. See, I'm bringing them from the land of the north, and shall gather them from the ends of the earth, among them the blind and the lame, those with child and those in labor, together, a great assembly, returning here. With weeping they shall come, and with their prayers I bring them. I shall make them walk by rivers of waters, in a straight way in which they do not stumble. For I shall be a father to Israel and Ephraim. He's my firstborn. Hear the word of Yehovah, O nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He who scattered Israel gathers him, and shall guard him as a shepherd his flock. For Yehovah shall ransom Yaakov and redeem him from the hand of one stronger than he. And they shall come in and shall sing on the height of Zion, and stream to the goodness of Yehovah, for grain, and for new wine, and for oil, and for the young of the flock and the herd. And their being shall be like a well-watered garden, and never languish again. Then shall a maiden rejoice in a dance, and young men and old together, and I shall turn their mourning to joy, and shall comfort them, and shall make them rejoice from their sorrow. And I shall fill the being of the priests with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, declares Yehovah. Thus said Yehovah. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing, bitter weeping. Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted for her children, because they are no more. Thus said Yehovah, Hold back your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for there is a reward for your work, declares Yehovah, and they shall return from the land of the enemy. And there is expectancy for your latter end, declares Yehovah, and your children shall return to their own country. I have clearly heard Ephraim lamenting, You have chastised me, and I was chastised, like an untrained calf. Turn me back, and I shall turn back, for you are Yehovah my Elohim. For after my turning back, I repented, and after I was instructed, I struck myself on the thigh. I was ashamed, even humiliated, for I bore the reproach of my youth. Is Ephraim a precious son to me, a child of delights? For though I spoke against him, I still remembered him. That is why my affections were deeply moved for him. I have great compassion for him, declares Yehovah. Set up signposts, make landmarks, set your heart toward the highway, the way in which you went. Turn back, O maiden of Israel, turn back to these cities of yours. Till when would you turn here and there, O backsliding daughter? For Yehovah has created what is new on earth. A woman encompasses a man. Thus said Yehovah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, let them once again say this word in the land of Yehuda and in its cities, when I turn back their captivity. Yehovah bless you, O home of righteousness, mountain of set apartness. And in Yehuda and all its cities, farmers and those who journey with the flocks shall dwell together. For I shall fill the weary being, and I shall replenish every grieved being. At this I awoke and looked around, and my sleep was sweet to me. See, the days are coming, declares Yehovah, that I shall sow the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah with the seed of man and the seed of beast. And it shall be that as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so I shall watch over them to build and to plant, declares Yehovah. In those days they shall no longer say, the fathers ate sour grapes and the children's teeth are blunted. But each one shall die for his own crookedness. Whoever eats sour grapes, his teeth shall be blunted. See, the days are coming, declares Yehovah, when I shall make a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah, not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I strengthened their hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim. My covenant, which they broke, even though I was a husband to them, declares Yehovah. For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yehovah. I shall put my Torah in their inward parts, and write it on their hearts, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people, and no longer shall they teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, Know Yehovah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, declares Yehovah. For I shall forgive their crookedness and remember their sin no more. Thus said Yehovah, who gives the sun for light by day, and the laws of the moon and the stars for a light by night, who stirs up the sea and its waves roar. Yehovah of hosts is his name. If these laws vanish from before me, declares Yehovah, then the seed of Israel shall also cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus said Yehovah, if the heavens above could be measured, and if the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I would also cast off all the seed of Israel for that which they have done, declares Yehovah. See, the days are coming, declares Yehovah, that the city shall be built for Yehovah from the tower of Hananel to the corner gate. And the measuring line shall again extend straight ahead to the hill Gareb, and then it shall turn toward Goah. And all the valley of the dead bodies and of the ashes, and all the fields as far as the Wadi Kidron to the corner of the horse gate toward the east, is to be set apart to Yehovah. It shall not be plucked up or thrown down any more forever.